everyone, and welcome to another of Wine Click's virtual wine tasting session. Well, I was just talking about my clients with borders slowly opening up. We hope to see all of you in person, raising a glass very soon. And Bibi, welcome you back to Singapore anytime when that happens. Yeah, but before that happens, we just like to say thank you to all the winemakers that help us make this virtual wine tasting possible. During this part, we stay in contact with them. We stay in contact with their wineries, and these virtual wine tasting also help us to explore several other regions where traveling for winemakers becomes more challenging. Now, for today, our special guest winery is Bibi Graetz. My introduction to his wines was very recent, and really, it was through this beautiful bottle, this beautiful label, that he placed on his 20th anniversary bottle, 2019 vintage. But well, in reality, it is not just the artwork that impressed. The wine itself is an artwork. The wine itself shows us a myriad of tastes in the collection. So without further ado, let me hand the stage over to Bibi, and he will share with us his journey and his creations. Bibi, please.
Perfect. So thank you for joining this tasting. I am Bibi Graetz, and I just give you some infos about the main core drives of our winery. And my project started in 2000, so my first vintage of Testamata and Colore are the 2000 vintage, and we just presented last year our 20th anniversary, and in this occasion we met with Alice, and she met our wines. We have been I'm focused on a very high quality project from day one. Now I've been my goal has always been to do fantastic wines, try to do really the best I could to do something special, no? From day one. The main drives I had were to make wine, especially super Tuscans, with indigenous varieties, no? So Sangiovese, Canaiolo, Colorino, which are the main historical varieties of our region, and also at the beginning we use some other minor varieties, but then slowly I turned my production more towards a pure Sangiovese orientation, and so indigenous varieties, and I was very fascinated by working with old vines, no? So we have a collection of vineyards that is incredible, that has a lot of incredible old vines, and this is one of the most important, two of the most important things, you know, indigenous varieties, old vines. Another element of my winemaking, which is very important, is the height of my vineyards. So all the vineyards are from 350 meters and up to 650 meters. No? So this is an element that gives a lot of elegancy to the wines, and a lot of, let's say, more looking towards red fruits and transparency and elegancy, rather than looking for concentration and power. So I would say that just to go through the history of our 20 years, in the first years, we were very clicking our eyes very much to very high concentrations until So 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, the first 3-4 years of production were very much looking at a kind of 90s viticulture, if you want. No, so very big wines, very powerful wines like that. And then slowly, I started getting in love with more elegant wines and more transparent wines, and slowly we reached this style, a new style of wine that we started developing from 2011 and on, and then from a real big changes started in 2013-15, where you see a big transformation of the wine, and this is coming mainly from a very different management of the vineyard. So when we were doing the first vines, we were doing wines that were extremely concentrated in the vineyard, which means very low yield. You were talking about 15 hectoliters per hectare, or something like that, even times less, no? 12, 15 hectoliters per hectare. Then we slowly moved from this kind of style of work in the vineyard. We started producing, now we are around 45 hectoliters up to 50 hectoliters per hectare. No? So a complete different work and style of work in the vineyard that allows to let's say, allows the vineyards to be more more natural. Now, we don't do any green harvest, we don't do any bleeding, we don't use any more new oak, we don't use cultivated yeast, we don't use temperature control. Everything is very smooth and very natural, done in order to really get the maximum of the terroir into their wines. Now, the expression of the soil, the expression of the wines needs to get into the terroir. No? I would say, that now we have a new winery. I'm talking from the winery, and the winery is in Fiesole. So Fiesole is kind of a part of Florence, I would say. So we have the view of Florence right from the windows. We see the dome right here. We are physically 10 minutes drive from Ponte Vecchio, so the old bridge in the city center, and we are on a square. We are on a square with a big cathedral right in front of us. So this is the view from the winery. You can see now. If you go back the picture before, you're going to see the square. Now here is this is a cathedral, the dome, and it's a beautiful little square in Florence where we have this terrace, which is our tasting room, that is with the view that you just saw, the one with Florence. So you are welcome to come and taste some wines with our view.
We look forward to that.
Yeah. You can put back the picture with the view, and so this is the Aurora. It's actually the building of the winery, and all around this area that you see, it's all part of the winery. Also under, it's around 3,000 square meters, all under the square practically. So it's quite fascinating, because people comes and don't understand. I mean, they were thinking to come to see a winery in the and they say, wow, I mean, or a bit disappointed, because they said, oh, I thought I was going to do the winery, I came to the office, kind of. And then they come in and they're shocked, because it's everything there. So it's a fun thing, and a very lively concept. We do, if you see here, the square, we do all the harvest. All the grapes arrive in the square, and we have the sorting table in front of all the people in the square, and it's very lively. People come from all over the place to see all this harvest going on. It's a fun thing. So this is a new location for us. We came here. We bought this property in 2019. So we actually moved from the country into the city, no? And we transformed. So this is all the rooms of the hotel, no? Where now you don't have more hotel facilities, but it's all barrels and big botti, you know, big wooden botti, and all the facilities to make wine. So it's a fun project. Yeah. Well, maybe we can start tasting some wines together, and
Sure.
we can start from tasting, well, the white wines. I need to talk a moment a bit before about these white wines to explain you what it is. No? There is a little island in front of Tuscany. No? It's called Isola del Giglio, and it's a real jewel. No? It's a small island, but incredibly beautiful. It's like a microcosm by itself. There are 1,500 residents on the island, but there is a lot of people that comes through the summer. No, it's a touristic destination for Italians, mainly because there is no airport. So it's here you can see the island. So it's a small island, but it's like a mountain in the sea, as you see now. It's quite high. It goes up nearly to 500 meters. So you have a very special microclimate here, and there is a big tradition in winemaking, historical tradition in winemaking, because this island, I mean, 2,000 years ago in the Roman times, was called the Green Island, because just you can see it also from this picture here, you know, also in the full summer, the vineyards are green, while all the rest of when you come around August, all the rest of the agriculture becomes quite yellow, no, in Italy, no, because of the heat. While the vineyards are the only thing that remain completely green, and they're like a light. No, they're full of energy and green through the whole summer. No, so in the Roman times, this island was called the Green Island. No? And it was all covered by vineyards, completely covered by vineyards. And now there is very few vineyards left, no, but they're all on terrace, very dramatic, very steep, very dangerous to work. No. You really risk your life when you're working.
It looks really challenging. The slopes, and it just seems to be so rocky around.
Yeah, it's all about rocks. So I mean, when you are in this vineyard here, talking with my guys on the island, they tell me, Bibi, you know, listen, we must be careful because it's so dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, if you fall, if you do something wrong, you die. It's kind of
yes.
It's really, or you can really hurt yourself in a very bad way, because you have like 4 or 5 meters jumps, you know, so on the rocks. So it's tough, but but on the other hand, this vineyard has been managed for centuries. And we are continuing in managing them, and they have a very special terroir. You have this the soil is like sand of granite, no? And it's all about rocks. So you have a huge impact of minerality here, and this is really the main character of this wine. No? It has a very strong unicity. No? They have this incredible, unique character. Now, so you have, maybe we can start tasting now Testamata and Colore. No?
Yes, I've already started.
Fantastic. So you feel this, you know, incredible. What I love to with this wines here is you feel this strong, very special minerality, the feeling of the sea. You know? You close your eyes in a moment when you're smelling the wine. Close your eyes a moment and imagine that you have the sea in front of you. No, it's and you really understand the wine. No. This is it's a special vineyard, Testamata, which is southwest facing, a bit smoother. Then you have the Colore, which is the vineyard that we were looking before. The picture that we were looking before at is coming is the Colore. Now, yeah, this one here, and also the other picture that we were looking at before. This one here, this is exactly the vineyard of Colore. Both the pictures. So this is a detail of the larger picture.
What is the varietal for the whites?
The variety is Ansonica. Ansonica, there is something similar in Sicily, which is called Inzolia. And you find Ansonica along the coast, no? Along the coast and on the sea. It's a wine that was mainly used as table grapes, you know, because it has a very strong skin, and it has so it was able to be transported over to the mainland from the island in order to go on the markets in Rome, on the coast, in Florence. So in the centuries, it was shipped by boat, no, and brought on the mainland and used as special fruits from the island, no. So it has always been the grapes and wine has been always kind of the main let's say resource, you know, of the island for the population, no?
What is the main difference between Testamata white and Colore white? Is it the terroir, the soil? Is it the facing?
Well, the vineyard of it has a very different terroir. The vineyards they're quite near to each other, but they have different soil, no? So the taste of the soil is different. The Colore vineyard is much more dramatic. It's much more vertical, no? And also much fresher. It has the Testamata is open to the sea, facing the sea straight, while the Colore vineyard is facing a little valley, and there is always breeze coming through this little valley, and the vineyard of Colore is let's say divided in two. There is one part is let's say southwest facing, then you get to the bottom of the valley near the sea, and you go up the other side of the valley, so you're northeast facing, just goes down and up again. So this part, which is northeast facing, gives a stronger bit of acidity to the wine, and so it gives it a very different character from the other one that is only south facing. No, so there are two very different. Although they are near, you can walk from one to another in 15 minutes, but they are two complete different terroirs. No?
Would you say that because of the facing, the Colore actually has a more complex microclimate compared to Testamata? So
Yes.
with that, you know, the maturity of the grapes, the acids and the phenolics of the grapes all matured in a more complex manner compared to the Testamata.
Well, no, the fact that you have a part of the vineyard that is north facing creates a completely different dynamic. No? So you have, let's say, a stronger acidic part, which is lifting up the wine in a very interesting way.
How many bottles of the Testamata and the Colore do you have in Singapore at the moment?
For the whites, none, because it's on allocation. For the reds, we do have a good quantity. So it is a good question to bring it up.
You cannot talk about wines that we don't have, only in tasting portion.
I know,
Yeah.
It's perfect to bring it up now to where Bibi is here. How many bottles of allocation can we discuss after this conversation?
2016, you have 700 bottles. 2020, how many bottles, baby?
Well, talk with this. We will be happy to take this conversation with Alice after.
Yes, I will try to get some allocations.
Don't forget me, yeah.
I will.
We will definitely take care of you.
I'll take 20% of your allocation.
But it is a very special wine indeed. You know, it's like, you know, when you describe it, when you look at a terroir, and then when you taste it, I think you taste a lot of complexity. You taste that minerality, the sea facing. The Colore for me brings out the different layers, a lot more depth. Yeah, a lot more density and depth where you taste the two side by side.
Well,
Bibi, may I ask you, what is your background? You sound Jewish, from Israel, from the West Bank.
Well, my father is from Israel.
Which Tel Aviv?
Well, you know, Israel is a very small country, so it's a mixture. I mean, he was between Tel Aviv and Haifa, but then we have part of the family that is also in Jerusalem. But I think he actually was originally from Tel Aviv. But he lived in Israel until he was 21, and then he went to the Academy of Art, first in Paris, and then the Academy of Art in Florence. And my mother is actually Norwegian. So I am born in Italy, 100% Italian, but my blood is not really Italian.
Which part of Norway is your mother from?
My mother is from Oslo.
Oh, that's not too bad.
That's nice. It's a nice. Also, my wife is from Oslo. So my kids are 3/4 Norwegians.
Well, they have the most gold medal in any countries for the 3 past Winter Olympics.
Yeah, they are crazy. They don't work. They just stay on skis the whole day, the whole winter. They love skiing. Yeah.
So, do you have any aquavit from your cellar?
We do.
From the grappa?
Yes, we do every once in a while some grappa. Actually, the last time we did it, but we never really sold it so far. I think we made a production of 2,000-3,000 bottles of grappa in 2010 last time. And now we still have a couple of hundred bottles.
But send them over to Wine Click. I got Norwegian friends here in Singapore.
Okay. But we wanted to do a little production of graph again here, but then it was too much last minute. We didn't manage to organize it properly, so we told ourselves we do it next year with a bit more preparation, and so we are planning to do a new production of grappa,
But
which
it's
is
from the seeds of Sangiovese or from
it's from Sangiovese.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's great to know about the development and the production of the new production lines that's coming. So we're so glad that we could have the first news. So why don't we proceed to the tasting of the reds?
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
So we have here Testamata 19 and Colore 19.
Beautiful labels too.
Thank you. They are, I don't know if you know that, do you know my normal labels of Testamata? Shall I take also show you?
Sure.
Just a second, huh?
Well, I think while Bibi is collecting the normal bottles, I think we're all very privileged to be able to taste the whites. So yes, we don't have any for sale, so we're still working really hard to get a good allocation. And I'm sure we'll have a little bit. Oh, Bibi's back. Okay.
Here we are. So these are the normal labels.
Yeah. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the labels too?
Well, actually, you have the labels on the Colore Bianco and Testamata Bianco because it's the same labels, no? So I didn't think about it. So yeah, here they are. So you have it's the same labels. The labels are done by me. I draw the labels by myself, and I continue drawing the labels by myself. It's something that it's for me very important. But in the meantime, while we talk about the label, we can also start tasting the wine. So Testamata 19 and 19. It's a very special wine, very elegant wine, and coming from a very generous vintage. So it means that there was a huge crop. Your shirt matches the Cheers.
Hey, Bibi, I'm surprised that Miss Tony didn't ask you to be a designer.
Well, I do all my graphics and stuff. I like to take care of all these things, and I paint also sometimes, but well, I actually got in love with the winemaking, and I treat my wine as an art piece. No, I mean I give. I don't think the wine production as a product. No, I just think about it as an art piece. It's a long process, doing through months of tasting. I mean, instead of taking a couple of normally you have a winemaker that comes in and 1 day, 2 days, 3 days makes the blends and go. And those are the blends. The blends here can take the blending here can take 6 months. I changes and I try and this and that, but it's not a bit more, but it's never happy. Okay, and it's a real creative process. So it's an art. It becomes art now somehow. And this is 100% Sangiovese again. So I was telling.
And from what I read about it, is like, like you said, you were very fascinated with old vineyards, and you went around buying small plots of vineyards around the city. And I'm sure that adds to the complexity as well as how you picture your wine to be.
Well, definitely, the older, the better the vineyards are, always been. It's also a philosophy of winemaking where this wines here, a wine like this, like Testamata here, it's really, I mean, it really expresses Tuscany in a, no, in a very, very strong way. You know, it's like really you feel Tuscany here, no? In every corner of the wine.
The color is really nice.
Let me taste it.
We are a couple of hours ahead of you, so we've tasted our share.
Mm. It's got an amazing density, you know, and but still, now you have this this element which is really, really important for me to show Tuscany, now to show a pure Tuscany, and you have this really strong red fruits coming through. No, it's not black, chunky, black chunky fruits and fat fruits. It's transparent. It's beautiful to look at. It's red fruits. It's freshness. It's minerality. Is all this element of acidity, a lot of acidity. Yes. Acidity is really present. You know?
But the acidity is nicely integrated. Yeah.
It's integrated because it's covered with all the fruits, you know, and the density of the wine. You know? So you have this dynamic, which is really perfectly balanced within the wine, but it's very present. Now you have it's driving the wine, and it's going to make it last for decades and decades. No.
Maybe at this stage, I'd like to introduce one of our guests, Ying. Ying is a master of wine in Singapore. So maybe I could introduce him to join the stage, and we could have a really professional conversation. Ying, please. Are you around, Ying?
Yes, I am around. I am still around. Thank you.
Hi.
Very nice to meet you virtually, Bibi. I don't think we've ever had the pleasure of meeting. I look forward to visiting you in Tuscany before long, once things calm down with COVID and so on. So a very nice set of wines here, I have to say. So actually, let me start with the reds first, and then we'll work backwards to the whites. That's actually the order in which I taste my wines. I do the reds, and then I do the whites after that. So I quite liked. It was really interesting seeing the difference between the Testamata Rosso and the Colore Rosso, and there was a distinct difference in terms of the approachabilities of the wine. They're both the same vintage, but for me, the Testamata felt a little bit softer, very approachable, almost quite juicy, easy to drink. Easy to drink is almost too rude. It's actually a very approachable wine. Whereas the Colore, also very drinkable and approachable now, but had quite a lot more substance to me in terms of the mid-palate flavor and density. It was a very nice nose. The other difference for me was that with the Testamata Rosso, I got a very strong sort of a maraschino cherry character and a dark floral note. With the Colore, I get what I always identify as the identifying mark for me personally for Sangiovese, which is a slightly meaty, almost bloody preserved sausage character. It doesn't sound great, but actually it's a very lovely nose. It's almost a slightly rose tinted nose, and for me that's the marker for a great Sangiovese. And I got that much more on the Colore than I did on the Testamata initially. I wonder whether that's got to do with the age of the vines and therefore the relative concentration of flavors in the phenolics and so on, and also possibly the winemaking treatment. I'm not sure there's any real difference in how you've approached the winemaking for the expression of these two wines, or perhaps it's the origins of the specific parcels in the vineyards that you've used in these wines. What I found as a wonderful common factor through all the wines is a very gentle winemaking. I love that because the wine expresses itself very gently, beautiful clarity and precision and purity of flavor. I love that in wines, and especially in Sangiovese, because yes, there's a certain style of Sangiovese which is much more extracted, darker, more intense, and so on. And that takes quite a while for it to come around. But I love this style of Sangiovese. It's lighter in color, it's more elegant in expression, and there's a very beautiful floral note to the wines. And for me, the Colore actually brought that out very, very clearly in terms of that very elegant, almost natural expression of the variety within the context of its place, its vineyards. And interestingly, both the wines felt quite cool. I haven't actually looked at the alcohol levels, but they actually felt very moderate, very balanced. Lovely wines. And I wasn't picking up a huge influence of new oak. So I'm assuming you're using dominantly used barrels in the fermentation and aging of these wines. And
we are down to we still use barrels from 2003.
2003, yeah. What for me, what that provides me in the wine is a creaminess and texture, not a creaminess in flavor, which comes from New York, but a creaminess in texture, which is actually really quite delicious because it really interleaves very nicely into the fruit character of these wines. I thought these were wonderful, pure expressions of Sangiovese. And with the white wines, I have to say I'm not very familiar with the Ansonica grape, but I completely identify when you said it was a little bit like the Sicilian grape, Isola. And because for me, it's got a little bit of that green almond character. I find both great in these grape varieties, and a slight bitterness to it. But also at the same time, a touch of peach and apricot in each of those wines. Both, again, very lovely expressions. And interestingly, with the whites, the Colore, I think is the younger vines and the Testamata, the older vines. But the Testamata was really very expressive, a lot of weight and plumpness to the wines, whereas the Colore was a little more restrained. It felt more mineral in character. It's sort of a drier style. I mean, they're both equally dry, I'm sure, but it's just the textural feel was very different. It felt the Testamata felt slightly oilier, and the Colore just felt just that touch more of a mineral expression, and perhaps a little bit more definition. And I suspect that may be a function of the particular vineyard site, and not just the age of the vines on those two wines, but a pair of really delicious whites, which I wouldn't be able to choose which one was better, but I think they are for different occasions and maybe different pairings for different types of food, but very lovely expressions. And again, a very gentle touch. You almost don't feel the winemaker in this. These are wines that kind of speak for themselves.
It's a bit my thing, both with the reds and the whites, is try. When I started doing wine, I didn't know anything about enology and about winemaking. So I hired a consultant, and for 3 years I was working with it, and we had a huge success for the first 3 years already, and it gave me very strong imprinting on what I was doing now. And then it took me nearly 10-15 years to get rid of all this imprinting. So I kind of slowly dropped everything, the temperature control, the cultivated yeast, the concentration, green harvest, new wood, boom. I mean, no bleeding, no. I mean, so at the end, I like to play. You have the naked chef in London, and I can't like to call myself the naked winemaker.
You can take off the t-shirt now.
Yeah, but going back to your comments on colore, I think that I see my reaction. I see that when I taste the wines with let's say somebody that is I would say a professional taster that really understand the wines overall in all their potentials, and they I see now that they tend to understand what we are actually doing now, and there is obviously Colore has got it's a wine that stands above Testa Marta, somehow. This is what we do, but normally this wine here, Colore, it's going to take 4 or 5 years or 6 years before it's actually ready to drink. So you need to know and understand what you are tasting to really get it. But let's say people that are in the wine business at a different level, for example, are salespeople that are still in the wine business, but not at such a, let's say, precise and professional, just pure tasting level, but more as working with the wines, working with the customers, working with the clients. They now tell me, Bibi, whatever day, I like, for me, Testa Marta is showing the best, kind of, because as you said, it's more now it's more ready. It's more ready to do now. As you have this velvety freshness that is kind of welcoming you, in this moment, rather than Colore is still fighting a bit, for its place, so myself as well. If I taste carefully, I obviously understand now the different value of the wines, but if I taste without thinking, just a bit that's distracted from other things, and then I taste the Testa Marta, I say, wow, I still have this feeling of youth and freshness, which is really beautiful. And so it's two different animals.
Yes. Yeah. And if you produce two very lovely animals either way.
Yeah. Well, it's fun to do wines like that. We enjoy very much, and it's also not only making wine, but it's trying to show something from, as you said, a purity of Tuscany, and trying to say something. Try to say something with your wines, not only just to. So it's a fun production.
Yes, very beautiful. Thank you very much, and thank you for producing these beauties for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just other things. One thing I remember about where the vineyards are located.
We have vineyards that are starting from the border of Montalcino, so south in Tuscany. These are talking for the red wines now. The south from Montalcino, we have the vineyards that are really looking at the vineyards of Montalcino, but we are on the hilltop. It's a hilltop, right? The first hilltop before Montalcino. So it's a 15 minutes drive from Montalcino territory, and then we have on the hilltops in Panzano, we have on the hilltops of Montefili, we have on the hilltops of San Donato, and it's in Vincigliata, here in Fiesole, at Olmo. All the vineyards are now quite high up. And the new thing that we have, which is an amazing project that we started now in Fiesole, is that we bought an incredible plot of land that it's right behind the winery. It's a 10 minutes drive from here. And we're talking about, at the end of the day, it's going to be around more than 100 hectares, and they're between 450 and 680 meters. So very high up in the mountain, and there is an amphitheater, south-facing amphitheater, with a lot of wind all the time, and it's going to be an incredible site. And we just planted 3 days ago our first vineyard there, and we are transforming it in a new grape area, kind of in Tuscany.
May I just ask a quick question, Bibi? How much of the Colore comes from the Siena vineyard?
We have our main vineyards for Colore are in Lamole. Then we have, let's say, another equal important part in Siena.
Yeah.
Then we have now also San Donato, which has got a hectare of 70 years old vines. I mean, the thing in Colore up to now is that there is practically only very old vines, right. And they're all coming very high up in the mountains. Yeah. Olmo has got also, I believe, there are 5 to 6 hectares of very old vines, around 60 years old vines. Right. So in order to be part of Colore, we need to have very old vines. No, this is kind of the drive of Colore up to now. The big difference between Colore and Testamata is this: very old vines. No, and I mean, the technique is exactly the same. We don't do different things between Testamata and Colore. It's just as you said, it's just the parcels that are different and showing in a different way.
Yeah, and are the clones different in each of those parcels? Is the Siena clonal mix more like what you get in Brunello as Brunello?
The clones, when you're talking about old vines, the clones is a mystery.
Yeah.
So when you new vineyards are a mix of some clones are taken, let's say, from the old vines, just random, without knowing what they are. We just take the old vines and random and reproduce them. This year we went and pick all this. We have this vineyard in Lamole, which is really incredible, and it's delivering the oldest vines are the ones that are delivering more fruits. But you're talking about 12 kilo per plant, big quantities, and they go straight into the Colore. And so we are picking these grapes that are delivering so much fruits, no? And this kind of special clones. And although we don't really know if it is the age or the clones or what, I mean, that makes this complexity, you know. But we still play with this and we just reproduce them and replant them. And then it's in the mix. And then we take also some more kind of cloney things. Cloney or clowny, I don't know. But
the reason I asked those questions was the Colore especially reminded me, not completely, and never had to compare uses, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of a Biondi Santi, the Colore. you know,
Possible, because Biondi Santi has always been very traditional, in its winemaking, and didn't really follow so much the trend that brought Montalcino off track for a while, and now it's back in track. But Biondi Santi remained always
remained true, and that's why it's always been one of my favorites in Brunello, simply in Montalcino, simply because they kind of stayed true to their tradition. Yeah,
the old Biondi Santi guy was a tough guy. I met him.
The father.
Met him, father of Jacopo. I met him once by chance in the winery. I was at my first or second year of winemaking. Then I met a guy. I went together with a person that had access to the place, and he was together with some customers, and I was like 33, 34, and just started. So I didn't really feel as I was a puppy. I felt like a puppy in front of him, no? And he looked at me with his customer, and they said, he's a wine producer. I said, he's a competitor, he said. The guy was like 83, 84. Oh, shit. He was a fighter.
I'm sure he was. Came from that generation.
You're a competitor. Okay.
Good. 20 years ago, yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but so we spoke a little bit about the vineyards. We spoke a little bit about the clones. I'm interested to find out a little bit about the density. I think it's like, this is one of the current topics about winemaking. People talk about the density of the vines. Like, how do you feel about that, the planting?
Density of plants per hectare?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I didn't get it. Well, it's a fight. I just had a fight with my technicians when we were planting our vineyards, because they always obviously want to put more plants.
Yes.
And I say, you are totally off track, guys. You need to have more. Let them live their own life. These poor plants, we need to plant at 70 centimeters. No way, just 1 meter. But we need to do maximum 2 meters, 1 meter, 1 meter and 80 between the rows, and 2 meters 60. Boom. So in order to, I think that in order to make these wines elegant and make them breathe, you need to have more air, more space for the plants, and rather than stress them to at the end give more stress. More stress means more concentration, more everything at the end. So I'm against a bit this whole philosophy of high density and things, personally. But maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. Let's see.
There's always two schools of thoughts. I think it's like, throughout my own personal experience in speaking to winemakers from different regions, from Italy, from Burgundy, from France, it went through new oak, 100% new oak, to no new oak, to how you're going to treat a new oak, or to even really delicate, like, you look at how the vines is, how the produce, how the crop is for that vintage, and to decide on how toasty the oak influence is. I think it's all a question of what is the style of the maker and what is the belief of the maker. And I'm sure every treatment brings out different characteristics, and that is what makes wine so special.
Well, there is a word out there. It's impossible to say this is right and this is wrong. No, it tastes beautiful wines that are very different in style from my wines, and still are really beautiful expressions. So I remember once I was my first visit in Sant'Emilion, no, and I was tasting the most incredible wines in Sant'Emilion, and talking about 20 and something years ago. And the most incredible thing was that, you know, jumping from one winemaker to each other, that was like, you know, just jump on the car, another 5 minutes and another winemaker, a new world, you know? And it's like, why? What's that? What's happening? You know, so it's just, you know, at the end, it's an expression of a person. You know, the wine is an expression of a person and its work and its philosophy, and it's a word. No, there is no, it's not only terroir. No, there is there is a person, and that's what makes a difference. No? So you can be in Napa, you can be in Israel, you can be in all over the world. If you have somebody that has something to say, it's going to be fantastic. It's like an art piece. You can be coming from all over the world, no, and it's fantastic, you know?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah. So, well, before I end the session,
I just wanted to, because unfortunately I need to run, so I want to take the chance to say hi to everybody and thank you very much to share this moment together and share the wines with you. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, thank you, Bibi. We're very grateful for your time, and I'm sure I can speak for all the guests on this chat. That we have your time for you to share your experiences, your journey, and your wines with us. So hopefully, in the very, very near future, we'd like to welcome you to Singapore, and we have a wine dinner with you.
Okay, looking forward. And if not, you are be welcome to have a lunch or dinner in our terrace here.
That's a deal. Thank you, Bibi.
Grazie mille.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you. Ciao to everybody. Thank you for being there. Bye-bye.